Greetings from the Charter School Office. I'm Albert Bertram, the Finance Specialist for the office. The sheet we have here is the review of the audited financial statements. This sheet essentially takes the thick audit and summarizes it into 4 pages. It also does a couple other calculations which I'll go through with everyone, and it's used as a form of communication between myself and the field reps and myself and others in the office, so we thought we would share it with the schools and make sure everyone's on the same page. So if you have any questions or anything that you think should be added, omitted, let us know, and we'll get everything straightened out. This another thing is this document makes it easier to compare from year to year, so instead of trying to compare 2 thick audits, you can essentially just compare four pages, so most of the main points are on this sheet. So as we start, we'll move over here to the statement of net position. Everything is labeled, so I'm going to show you where the statement of net position is in the audit. If we look at the total assets to make a comparison, it's $14,780,437. So if we go to the audit, we'll see the statement of net position right here, and then there's that $14,780,437. So that's where that is. If we go back to our sheet, we'll notice these numbers should be reflected on that same page. At the bottom here we have our ending net position and then our previous net position. So previous is the prior year, which is June 30th, 2013. This is the ending for June 30th, 2014, just so you know there's a comparison. The net position did actually decrease from last year for David Ellis Academy West. So as we move down, here's our balance sheet sections. We just to verify, this is the general fund current assets, which I'll show you in a minute. And then over here is the fund classification for the general fund, which there's only an unassigned fund balance. So going back to the audit, the balance sheet is 2 pages after the statement of net position. So 1, 2, and then here's balance sheet. Here's the cash and those excuse me, those values from the left-hand side of our sheet right there. As we scroll down, we'll see our unassigned fund balance over here of $4,476,345. So if we go back to our sheet, there's that unassigned fund balance, and here's the cash and other items over here. Now, if you don't know what unassigned means, it's amounts that are available for any purpose. These amounts are reported only in the general fund. There are other fund classifications. David Ellis Academy West doesn't have any of them in this current audit. But all these hover-overs that I'm showing right now, I won't go through them, but they're in the audit, so if you ever are curious, you can know what they are. Moving up to the upper right-hand corner of the sheet, we have our beginning fund balance, the revenues, expenditures, other financing sources, net change, and then ending fund balance. So that's a good way to see the current year's activity in a quick summarized fashion. If we go below that, we have our general revenues divided by, general fund divided by revenues, which takes the ending general fund and divides it by the revenues, and then general fund minus restricted. So if we had a restricted amount down here, we would see that this was different, but it's not because there is no restricted amount. Then we have general fund divided by expenditures, and then ending general fund divided by beginning general fund. If this is above 100%, that means that there was an increase in fund balance. If it's below 100%, there was a decrease. So there's an increase, so that's why it's above 100%. As we scroll down, we'll come to this section here. Now these 4 items are a summary of the page 4 of this sheet and the notes section of the audit. So everything on this is derived from the audit. There is no notes payable for David Ellis Academy West. That's associated with state aid notes or short-term borrowing, which David Ellis has a large fund balance, so I believe that there's never been a state aid for David Ellis, but state aid note. Over here is the long-term debt, which is the bond. This is just the principal amount, just to specify. There's no capital or operating lease, and here's the management company information. Now as we scroll down, you'll see this percentage of state aid. All this does is take the total management fees, then divides it by the total state aid revenues on the next page. Excuse me. And then the earned, same thing, takes the management fees, divides it by the fall 2013 count, which is the corresponding fall count for this fiscal year. So that's what that is. As we scroll down, we'll see our building overview. Here's the square footage. If this is incorrect, please let us know because it affects a couple calculations here. If we go over here to revenues per square foot, that takes the total revenues, divides it by the square footage. Expense per square foot, same thing, takes the total expenditures, divides it by square footage difference. Payment per square foot is a different calculation, though it's located right there. It actually takes the principal and interest payments for the bond and then divides it by the square footage, and that's what that number is derived from. I have the description located in the bottom of the sheet here. So just to specify that those numbers aren't in this audit, you got to go in the previous year's audit and see the payment schedule for 2014. That's where I got those numbers from. So the operations and maintenance per square foot takes the operations and maintenance value on the next page. I'll scroll down there. Right there, operations and maintenance, and then divides that by the square footage, and then the square footage divided by the fall 2013 count takes the total square footage and divides it by that fall count again, that corresponding fall count. As we move into page 3, we'll see the revenues for June 30th, 2014, June 30th, 2013, and then the difference. This lets you compare really well from year to year, and gives you an idea how the school performed on the financial basis. It's more broken out than that little box in the upper right hand corner of page 1. So you'll notice that these are blank. This is how they weren't detailed in the audit, so I assume they're just basic programs here. I left it like this because this is the template that other schools utilize. So that's just what that is. So you'll notice below this there's a calculation involving total instruction and total revenue. So these are the numbers that are used in that calculation. So here's the breakdown of the support services. As we scroll down, the beginning and ending fund balance should match up to the page 1 up in the upper right hand corner area there. We have our budgetary information, the original budget, the final budget, actual, the difference between the actual and the final, and the percent change. This little excerpt here states that the original budget is due July 1. That's just for myself and others in the office to know that the original budget is required much earlier, so it's sometimes a lot different than the final budget. The David Ellis is pretty close compared to a lot of other schools. But that's just you don't have a lot of information at that time, so that's why there's sometimes a very different amount there. So as we move down here, this is that calculation that takes the total instruction and then divides it by total revenues that I talked about a moment ago. So this just shows the trend from 2012, 2013, 2014. So David Ellis actually increased from 13 to 14, which is good. So revenues divided by the fall 2013 count, that's what these are, and then the difference, revenues, expenditures, and then the difference. Just a basic calculation. As we move down, this is the enrollment section. These numbers are derived from CEPI. This last one is the unaudited DS 4061 count I got through Epicenter. I'll update these as they become available and as I finish all these videos. So just so you know that's why there may be a difference in that particular number from what you know now at the school level. So over here is the percent change, which David Ellis hasn't changed a whole lot throughout the count, so that's good. Down here we have a graphical display for those who are visual people and like graphical displays, so that's what that is. There was a slight trend down, I guess, but it was still pretty consistent compared to a lot of the other schools, so that's why I said that. Right here we have the fall free and reduced lunch counts. These are from CEPI as well. And then over here we have our free and reduced lunch count as a percentage of the corresponding fall count. So this count as a percentage of the fall 2010 count. So that's what these are. And then again we have our graphical display for those who like graphical displays. As we move into page 4, this is the area that was summarized on page 1 in those 4 boxes there. Actually, only 2 of them had data, but this is the debt information, so this is the bond information for that section. Then this is the management company information for the management company section. Then I have the corresponding page number from the audit. So this is all from the audit, and that's the page number if you ever want to go look it up. As we move down here, there was a finding. The finding, I summarized it here as: the staff of the academy does understand all the information included in the annual audited annual financial statements. However, assistance of the external auditor was utilized in preparing the footnotes to the financial statements. So that's not too bad of a finding. It is a finding because the auditor is supposed to be neutral and not be partaking in that stuff. So that's essentially the auditor protecting itself for its independence. So that's just something I thought I'd bring up. And I put the contract information right here, which is derived from page 15. And this little area here is derived from page 22. Now this shows that there was a budgeted amount, and then the actual amount exceeded that budgeted amount, and then this is the variance by how much it was exceeded. So the total overage was $176,000. Now I put this in here because David Ellis obviously has a large fund balance, which is good for the school. But if we go to the accounting manual, we'll see that the Uniform Budgeting Act, there's a violation of it. Says an administrative officer of the school district or PSA, Public School Academy, shall not incur an expenditure against an appropriation account in excess of the amount authorized by the Board of Education. The administrative officer or an employee of the school district shall not apply or divert money of the school district for purposes inconsistent with those specified in the appropriations of the school board. So it's important that the budgets are amended so that they reflect what's going to happen, and that the actual amounts do not exceed those budgeted amounts. So that's why that was brought up. And again, page 22 of the audit will show this table right here, so that's where that's from. This right here is the calculation that I talked about on page 1, the payment per square footage. That just explains the numbers, and those again were from the 2013 audit, which showed the long-term debt payment schedule, because that payment schedule shows the payment schedule for the coming year. So I went back to that year to see what it was for this year. So this information is reviewed, and here's my email address, albertb@bmcc.edu. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We hope that you got some benefit from this, and thanks for all you do for the children of Michigan. Have a good one. Take care. Stay warm.